Okay, so I'm Shannon from Soap Elf, and today we're going to make an almond soap. We're going to use a mold in a way that I've not used it before, and we're going to use some colorants that I haven't used before, so we're kind of going to do some fun new stuff. Okay, so I'm working with almond fragrance oil. Almond slows everything down, so I'm not worried about keeping things too cool on this one. I'm going to get the air out of my stick blender. I've got my lye here. You always, my lye, you want them within 10-ish degrees of each other, so they're around 110 degrees right now, 120. I'm pouring it over the stick blender just to make it go in there a little bit smoother to avoid bubbles. Bubbles are not really a problem, but they are not pretty, so I like to have them. I kind of went over a little bit on my oil, so I'm going to make sure that I get all of my lye out of here. So you don't normally have to wipe your lye container out like that. I'm going to mix it around a little bit. You can see how it's starting to get a little bit of the emulsion. That's kind of what we're going for. It works better if you plug it in. I was a yoder before I got married, but I'm not good at working that closely without electricity. So you can see as I stick blend it, we're getting more and more of the white, but I still have the oils around the edges. I'm just going to mix them up, trying not to incorporate air into it. So a nice. And this whole thing, this is called coming to trace. So, which all that means is that your chemical reaction between your lye and your oils is taking place and has become uniform. You've got it nicely mixed or emulsified in here. Your oils and waters are well mixed, and that's what an emulsion is, tiny particles of one inside the other, as they normally, as you know, don't mix. So I would call this a light trace. It's a good place to start. You can see it kind of sticks a little bit to my blender, kind of like the pudding. I could go more with this to, there's medium, and then there's heavy trace, and then the next one I'm going to work with, the next fragrance is going to be kind of a naughty fragrance. It will probably be able to show you what seizing means, but right now this one slows trace, so I could stick blend quite a bit and not have it go too far. I'm going to give myself time to work because I'm going to try this pattern over here, so I need to mix up all my oils. This is a really nice light color. It's looking a little thicker on my thing, on my stick blender there, so I think that this is a pretty good place to start. I see just a little bit of the oils around the edges, which is why I went back and mixed just a little bit more and make sure it's all even. Now, if you don't know what you're working with, putting your oils in at the very last, or your fragrance rather, at the very last is the smartest thing to do, because your fragrances can be naughty. I've worked with this almond and I know that it slows trace, so I'm just going to go on ahead and add it now and get it all mixed, and that way I know that all the colors have the same amount in them, and I don't forget to put it in, which, you know, that's never happened. I would never forget to put the fragrance in. Always use glass, never use plastic, because your fragrances can and will eat through your plastic, including your scales. Once they're mixed in with the oils, they're fine, but a concentrated fragrance will. Alright, so look at the difference in this now. You can see how much thicker that is on the stick blender. So I'm gonna start mixing this. It's also best if you, once you do add your fragrances, to just use a whisk, not necessarily use the stick blender, because you could get it to a much thicker trace than you really want very quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna add just a little bit of the soap batter to each of my containers here. and I'm going to start mixing in my colors. If you go too much, then it's kind of hard to get a nice color. You want to have room to work in. Make sure I have enough of the right colors here. All right. I'm going to very carefully move this lye container back to the sink where it's safe and I don't mess with it. Okay, this little guy is going to be black. And I'm going to add about a teaspoon or so of black. I want a nice black, not a gray. So we'll get that started, get it mixed. I always make more black than I need. It goes a very, very long way. I'm going to do this gold or red mica, and I'm going to add about a teaspoon. About one. I'm going to mix that and see what that looks like. The micas you can incorporate right into your soap batters. If you're working with the ultramarines, you want to mix those first and leave them set for some time, and with continued mixing to make sure that they're mixed well. It's really hard to get the clumps out of the ultramarines. The micas are really nice, but they're a lot more expensive because they're really nice. So I'm going to make a note for myself that I'm going to use 3/4 teaspoon of my gold. Okay, not the gold, the red. Alright, I think that's a lovely color. We're going to add a little bit more to it in a bit. I'm going to mix up the gold and probably do about the same amount. This is also a mica, so I'm going to mix it directly in. And a big thick teaspoon, or half teaspoon. That's a very pretty color. I'm going to see how that goes. And I'm going to mark it down. Alright, this is an ultramarine or an iron oxide. They're, as far as they work, the same way as powdered. So I'm using this mini mixer. I've had it sitting here in my oil to mix up. And this goes a long, long way. So I'm just going to put a little bit and make a giant mess. Alright, so now I'm going to mix this up just to make sure it's nice and smooth. And I'm going to just kind of fill these guys up. And make as big of a mess as I can while I do it. And just a little bit more black. And then I'm going to leave a little just by plain batter. My red is super red. I probably could have gotten away with using less. Alright, so I'm going to start with brown. It's a good place to start. A little bit of brown. Just pour in here in the middle. A little bit of red. Also just right in the middle. I'm trying to aim for about the same amount, but I'm just eyeballing it. I'm going to do the black next, just a little bit of black. And the gold right in the center. Maybe a little more gold. And I don't know if this will show up against the gold or not, but we're going to try it. A little bit of base. Okay, I'm going to repeat the rotation. Normally I would fill this up, but since what I'm trying to do with this is trying to make a the different size bars, we're just going to see how it goes. I'm not going to fill it up. I only want it to be about an inch thick. I got my black out of rotation there, didn't I? And you can see how nice this is. It's still so thin and easy to work with because that almond oil just really slows everything down. Okay, I think this is going to be my last one. I think. I'm going to scrape everybody out as I go. Nah, maybe one more. Let's see, from here to here. Now I need to start, I'm pouring too low, so you might have noticed that. As I poured, they all started kind of just standing on top of each other instead of scooting out. So it's holding my stuff too low. So the higher you hold it, the more you're going to intrude into the layer below and push things out versus just having it hang out on top. I don't want it to hang out on top. I want it to go down and push everything out. Alright. Last one. Nice and high. And I'm just going to let it all go. Try and get everything in my soap, because what isn't in my soap I have to clean out with paper towels and it gets wasted and it's a pain, so just scrape it out and get it in your soap where it belongs. do a little black, finish her out. I probably won't use up all my black because then it ends up with all you just have a big black blob in it. Okay, that's I hate wasting this soap. I just can't do it. Gotta get it all out. Now, we gotta spread it around. Make sure that we've got it even, because right now the sides are really on the carpet. Okay, it's gorgeous like that right now, and I'm really tempted to leave it, but I really want to try something else with it, so I'm just going to come to the center, and I'm going to come out, and this is gorgeous as well. This is turning out awesome. Alright, and then we're going to leave this. We'll cut it tomorrow, then it'll have to cure for about 4 to 6 weeks or so, and then it'll be ready at www.soapelf.com. Thank you for watching.